Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to Newsroom. I'm your host, Khalid. But today is Friday, the 28th of February, 2025, the last day of this month, and another must just on the arrival. So is Ramzan. We might be having it tomorrow, the day after tomorrow. Anyways, in advance, the holy month of Ramadan Mubarak to all of you, whether it comes tomorrow or the day after, because we'll be resuming on Monday. Nevertheless, this is the lineup for today. We'll begin, ladies and gentlemen, with the whole gamut of relationship between Pakistan and the United Arab Emirates. The Crown Prince of Abu Dhabi, Sheikh Khalid bin Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan, was in Pakistan on a short visit, in which many memoranda of understanding and agreements were signed between the two countries. And of course, this just goes on to show the gamut of relations that already exist and are being reinforced between the two sides. There was also a meeting, a one-on-one meeting between our Prime Minister and the Crown Prince, as well as a delegation level talk as well. And of course, the reiteration to further reinforce the ties between both the countries. This is what we will discuss in our first segment. Our second story, ladies and gentlemen, concerns the Gaza ceasefire. The first phase of Gaza ceasefire will be ending tomorrow, that is Saturday. Will this first phase be extended? Will the second phase start on time? Negotiations have already begun in Cairo as we speak, but will they lead to any concrete solution? This and more will be discussed in our second segment. Then we will be talking about the 97th birth anniversary of Abdul Sattar Idi, the angelic philanthropist who was a father to so many homeless in Pakistan, who did so much for the young men and women who needed his help. Today is, of course, his 97th birth anniversary, and we are going to observe it, and we are observing it across Pakistan and also across the world. Then we are going to talk about a marvelous view of the moon that has been captured by a private lunar lander. These are views that we have normally not really seen, and so of course these give us a new aspect of what the moon looks like, and of course what its surface is all about. Finally, we're going to talk about the dwindling age population in Japan, because the majority of the people now in Japan are around 75 years of age, and a very small minority are those who are young. So there is a shortage of care workers for this majority of people in Japan. So what the government is doing, they are turning to robots for a solution. How? We will discuss that in our last segment. Let's begin with our first story, and that concerns Pakistan-United Arab Emirates ties in the wake of the visit of the Crown Prince of Abu Dhabi, Sheikh Khalid bin Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan, to Pakistan, in which memoranda and agreements were signed between the two countries. We have been joined by two guests. Let me introduce them to you one by one. In the studios, we've been joined by Mr. Naeem Siddiqui. He's a political economist. Naeem Saab, thank you very much to have joined us. And online, we've been joined by Dr. Niaz Murtaza. He's a political economist. Niaz, thank you very much to have joined us as well. We'll begin with you, Naeem Saab. Pakistan and the UAE signed 5 accords, memoranda of understanding and agreements in banking, in mining, in 2 MOUs in railways, and 1 in the field of infrastructural investment. How do you view these agreements? What needs to be done? Because the agreements and the MOUs are signed, but the important thing is to then take them to the implementation phase. How important is this to do that at the earliest?
Thank you very much, Omar. The visit of the Khalid bin Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan, Pakistan, and conferred by the Nishani by the President of the Pakistan. This is his first official visit to Pakistan, I believe. And if we go back, we have a relationship based on the decades with the UAE. And UAE has always been a very sporting and confident partner of Pakistan in all respects. In all business, in all the political matters also, and in our religious matters also, and in our cultural matters also, we have all been associated with the UAE and the Saudi Arabia, and there is no doubt in it. So actually, if you say that we have 3 very good allies, Saudi Arabia, UAE and China in this region. And now if you ask me that what will be the structure of the future business, then there is no more the global trade will exist in future. You will have to find the regional trades, and UAE come first. They have the closest. So therefore, you have seen they have signed the agreement in the infrastructure, and railway. Railway is very important because now we are talking about from Central Asia
The
to
Uzbekistan,
Karachi,
Afghanistan, Pakistan railway
Pakistan,
line.
and then we will take the advantage of the Dubai port and the Gaza port and the Karachi port whatsoever. So I think that this is the right time. The Pakistan government is looking towards its neighbors for the businesses. Before we used to have the all conventional markets, you see, we do like the Europe and the America, but we didn't have much access to the GCC countries, which we always emphasize that this is a very big area where Pakistani business community and the Pakistani industry can find out their markets and can bring in the dollars. And if you see that we are getting approximately $5 billion from our diaspora only from the UAE. So this is also a big sort of remittance we are getting, and in future UAE has a lot more projects which they want to do out of their country. If you have heard that they are going to invest about $10 billion in Pakistan in future.
Well, that happened last year also when our Prime Minister had
I
gone.
agree with you. But you know, sometimes there is a lack of getting the maturity in the contracts. It takes some time. But I am seeing this time the government, the way you have seen our government from the last 1 year after the SCO and then the last year, you know, the president went to UAE and we talked about this 10 billion. And now these all contracts they have signed, they were already signed. So now they are making working teams for the maturity of this project, and government of Pakistan is also very serious, and we are very seriously talking because as you see the rollovers, we have got some money from the UAE also say about $2 billion. So this is a time for the implementation of agreements. And the implementation of agreements, we have to move forward to make an infrastructure in Pakistan to pave the way for the investment of the other countries, including the UAE. This is very important. Now, we have to make our political stability with our economic stability and show the confidence of our foreign investors, foreign brothers. Now, we are safe, we are clear, we are ready for to attract their investment and to make to prove that Pakistan is a resilient nation, and we can also work with international collaboration for all sort of industry and business in this country.
All right. That's a point well taken. Niaz, coming to you, how in your point of view can Pakistan benefit from this transformation of bilateral political ties with the UAE into a mutually beneficial economic partnership?
Thank you very much for inviting me. As we know, the UAE is the second most important, country within the Gulf region in terms of, its international engagements and relationships with Pakistan, stretching back several decades. And, it's sort of, becoming more and more globalized. There was this era when Dubai and Abu Dhabi basically meant sending your labor there, your labor force there, and then getting remittances. But as their their dollar reserves have increased, they've become much more engaged globally in terms of various kinds of investments. So foreign investments in a very large number of countries. They have their sovereign wealth funds with large sums of money ready to be, invested abroad. They are also, investing in climate change activities. They've held, conferences on climate change in the recent past. So all in all, it's becoming a more multifaceted relationship with Gulf countries, both Saudi, UAE and Qatar especially, in terms of what Pakistan can gain. So I think there are 5 basic avenues. One is, of course, still the traditional one in terms of, sending more and more of our human power into UAE and getting more remittances in return. There can be an expansion of that because there is more intense competition now from countries like India, Philippines, Bangladesh. Then the second area, of course, is in terms of, attracting investment from the vast sovereign funds that the UAE has, and especially in strategic sectors which can help Pakistan upgrade its economy. Then there are other areas in terms of aid. There's more and more aid coming from the Gulf countries for things like climate change, disaster risk reduction, and so on. So that's another area for Pakistan to look into. Then trade, because they do have large imports from different countries. So Pakistan can look into tapping more and more into the UAE markets for the goods that it produces. So all in all, I think it's a very good opportunity for Pakistan to engage in, and a lot of MOUs have been signed now. MOUs are the first steps towards closing the deal. So there's a lot of things that are mentioned, which both sides and primarily the recipient country will have to do in terms of closing the deal, in terms of preparing the feasibility studies, in terms of inviting further delegations from the UAE to come take a deeper look at the different projects, their feasibilities, your people going in there, convincing people that that is now the stage where Pakistan has to develop very professional proposals, convincing proposals to the UAE in terms of closing the bargain. So that will have to be the real challenge now, to divert the investment into more and more productive sectors which help Pakistan upgrade its industry, its exports, etc. I think that will be the main challenge before the government after this visit.
All right, the main challenge for the government after this visit. The Prime Minister Naeem Saab also broached, as you pointed out, this Uzbekistan-Afghanistan-Pakistan railway line project. He says it's going to benefit not only the port of Gaza but also the port of Abu Dhabi and prove to be a game changer for the entire region. How can, I know about Gaza, but how can the port of Abu Dhabi benefit from this railway line?
I always discuss with you in the previous programs as well that our blue economy is untapped. There is a huge potential. It doesn't mean that we are going to make a bridge between UAE port and the Gaza port. Meaning by that we have a very close distance. It is just like it is lesser than between the Karachi port and the Gaza port. Dubai and Gaza port is more closer than. So what the Prime Minister is emphasizing, which he emphasized also in the SCO summit also, that we want to see a strong and peaceful Afghanistan, because our all trades travels through Afghanistan. That is the main thing. So we have a huge area, landlocked countries in the Central Asia, where we can do the transportation for them from the Dubai onward to Gaza and Gaza onward to till Russia. Now, Dubai is not only a country which is supplying the goods to its own people. Dubai is an international port, and from there they cover the huge market of Africa, GCC countries, and Europe. So we can have a very great opportunities, because when you transport FCL load in a container, it costs less as compared to the LCL loads or half loads of the container from Pakistan. So what we are thinking that we can collaborate our shipments in Dubai, and from Dubai onward, with the help of their ports and their facilitations, we can launch our product to the whole world, and which can be cost effective for us. In the meantime, we can do a two-way traffic. One, we can supply the goods of the Central Asia from Pakistan to the rest of the world, and then again can supply the goods through the Central Asia from the whole world. We coming through Dubai onward to Gaza and onward to everywhere. So this is the basic thing. That's why we have Prime Minister emphasized on Uzbekistan, Afghanistan, Pakistan railway lines, the potential benefit for the Abu Dhabi port, improve connectivity for trade routes, increase cargo volume through UAE port, strengthening role of UAE as a regional logistic hub. So Now we are talking about the regional transportation, regional business, regional coordination. So enhanced trade with Central Asia and Pakistan.
All right.
So this is the crust of this Uzbekistan, Afghanistan, Pakistan railway line.
All right. Naeem Saab, also our Prime Minister, while he was talking to the Crown Prince of Abu Dhabi, appreciated the support that the UAE has had for Pakistan, specifically in difficult times. He also talked about the appreciation or the interest shown by the UAE to expand its investment portfolio in Pakistan. I feel this is a very important statement.
Yes,
expansion of investment portfolio in Pakistan.
Yeah.
Also investment initiatives between various Pakistani entities and the Abu Dhabi ports. So I will join the two, the expansion of investment portfolio in Pakistan from the UAE as well as the investment initiatives between various Pakistani entities and the Abu Dhabi port. How can Pakistan move forward in a way to gain maximum benefit from this?
Yeah, this is very important. Expanding UAE investment in Pakistan. This is opportunity for Abu Dhabi in Pakistan, expansion in ports and logistics, infrastructures, investment in Pakistan agriculture and food security, because we have a great agricultural land available with us.
True.
And renewable energy projects such as solar and wind power, and again the development of industrial parks and technological zones. This is what Pakistan is looking from the UAE government and the UAE business community to invest in these areas in which we are very rich. For example, agriculture, for the renewable energy, and this again, if we can produce say about 200,000 to 300,000 megawatts of electricity through this, non-conventional, the source of energies like the solar or like the wind, and even for that matter the hydel is also in that. So we can supply this energy to the other countries as well. So this is what we are looking, and strengthening the trade, investment, energy conservation. So this is how we can attract the foreign investor, because we have a 250 million people country with a more than 60% youth is less than 35 years of old, and they are resilient, they are strong, they have education, and they can work in all field of life. And so when we are talking about the China partnership in the CPEC and UAE partnership in the areas where I have just defined, if it collaborates, then we can find new markets in the world to make more dollars, which is the basic requirement of Pakistan.
Of course, and I hope that happens sooner than later.
Inshallah.
Dr. Niaz, coming to you, 2 or 3 things. Firstly, our Prime Minister tweets about the visit of the Crown Prince of Abu Dhabi, in which he talks about enhanced trade but also energy cooperation between the two countries. Then there is the meeting between the Crown Prince and our President, in which he's also conferred upon the Nishan-e-Pakistan, in which they talk about collaboration in business, infrastructure development, culture and people-to-people contact. I'd like your take on how these avenues can also be explored to further the ties and also benefit both countries in the bargain.
Well, yeah, obviously, so for example, people-to-people contact, that could, refer to tourism, because, Pakistan offers such splendid places, varied places for tourists to come and visit, from the seaside all the way up to, the plains, and then the historical places, and then, the very scenic places in the north. So obviously, the people in UAE are becoming more and more globetrotters, looking to spend their money on tourism, shopping, etc. So in all those areas, there can be people-to-people contact with, Pakistan attracting more tourists from the UAE. Then in terms of, infrastructure, obviously, there are ample opportunities in Pakistan, and those could again be linked to this, Uzbekistan line, because, obviously the more direct route would have been from Uzbekistan all the way into Afghanistan, then Iran and into UAE. But because of, the unstable situation in both Afghanistan and Iran, countries are always looking for, alternative routes as well. So that's where Pakistan comes in. if it comes through Afghanistan quickly into Pakistan and then from Gwadar on to Abu Dhabi, it could, provide a more secure transit route for trade between, the Central Asian countries and the Gulf region. Similarly, infrastructure, obviously, Pakistan has huge needs in terms of infrastructure, whether you're talking about roads, whether you're talking about, power generation, other forms of infrastructure, seaport upgradation. Already, the Gulf countries have expressed interest in terms of, helping to upgrade the Karachi port. So there's a, wide range of opportunities available where we can attract. We've got their initial interest, obviously, and that's what an MOU means. But then MOUs also have, a high failure rate. So we need to make sure that, more and more of the MOUs get converted into contracts and actual agreements. And that's where, the hard part will have to come in, all the technical minds and different ministries, even the private sector, those have to be roped in to, develop convincing as winning proposals that will convince the people in UAE, because obviously they have a lot of opportunities in Far East, other parts of South Asia, even Europe, etc. So this is where we have to compete with all those countries and show the potential and the prospects in Pakistan.
I totally agree with you on that. Also, the Foreign Office, when this visit was about to take place, took out a huge statement in which he talked about the relations that exist between Pakistan and the UAE in different spheres, and of course highlighted the same aspects that we have discussed earlier in the show. But what it talks about, and I found it very interesting, that both sides want to agree to make 2025 the year of action. Now that the MOUs and agreements are signed, now that there is a resolve from both countries to take it forward, the resolve by the Crown Prince of Abu Dhabi to further the economic interests of his region into Pakistan, how can Pakistan make this tangible statement a reality?
Well, again, I think it needs to, showcase, the economic stability that has emerged, because, the last 2 years were periods of high economic crisis, more than 2 years, 3 years. And, a few countries were hesitant. There were political instability as well. So first of all, Pakistan has to show that, it has achieved a certain amount of, economic stability, with the IMF deal going through. And then it has to show that, it has done its homework and it's developed, sort of governance structure, which can, negotiate professionally with foreign countries, which is, responsive, which is transparent, which is professional, and can, talk business at a very high level at global standards. That's where, Pakistan will have to put in all its energies. And, that's where we need to put in, the best minds available within Pakistan, and even, the Pakistani global diaspora, which obviously has a lot of contacts, a lot of, initiatives, ideas. So we need to, pull all those together to, really sell brand Pakistan.
Right. Thank you so very much, Dr. Niaz Murtaza, to have joined us. That was political economist Dr. Niaz Murtaza joining us online. Coming to you, Naeem Saab. In May last year, as we discussed earlier as well, our Prime Minister went to the UAE. A lot of important developments took place then as well. The pledging of $10 billion US that you talked about, that will be translated into different kinds of projects. Then there was the talk of different investment agreements on energy, waste management, food security, logistics, minerals, and financial services. These are avenues that have, some of those avenues have not been discussed this time, but those are discussed in May of 2024. Then there was the whole discussion on the diaspora that is there, and we talked about the how the remittances come back to Pakistan. And also our premier, when he was talking to the community after having met with the leadership in the UAE, said that his aim was not to seek loans but joint collaboration and investment, which will be not only for mutual benefit to the UAE and Pakistan, but also move forward in the realm of trade. Trade instead of aid is something that the government has been talking about. Do you feel we are moving in the right direction as far as that is concerned?
Yeah, definitely. The Prime Minister very categorically said that trade instead of aid. This was the slogan last time when we discussed. The PM emphasizes mutual collaboration. Then encouraging investment rather than seeking loans, creating business-friendly environment for UAE investors in Pakistan, and then enhancing manufacturing and export capacity in Pakistan, and then developing the venture in IT, infrastructure, and logistics, and then follow the UAE economic model. This is very important. That lesson we should learn from the UAE success, that how they succeed in previous 50 years, and then diversifying beyond traditional sectors. As I told you that we are now mostly exporting textile, and then this is our main thing. Now we have to diversify investment in technology and digital economy, establishing a free trade zone and special economic zone, enhancing government and ease of doing business. Now these are the areas which we need to focus in future, and to make these MOU realization into the factual exercise of the trade. And this can only be possible that if we can have stability and consistent policies, and we earn the confidence of our foreign investors, and they come over here. Because one thing is very clear, we are much cheaper in labor as compared to anywhere else in the world. So why we cannot have the same China's model, which America relied on China 50 years or 40 years before, and then today China has become one of the rather the strongest economic power corridor in the world. So we are also living in the same area with the same environment, same weather, same resilient peoples. So why we can't do it? So this is the time that now our friends, our brothers, they are looking towards the Pakistan. They want to do something over here, and the regional trade is the future, as I told you, and we have actually no borders with these countries. We can do the trade very freely, and I tell you the GCC is such a big market, and Pakistan should avail this potential and should find out the right strategies, should find out the right investment, should find out the right products, as you mentioned, 4 or 5 different sort of areas, minerals, energy, there is so
food
many
security, logistics.
Food security. Now food security, SIFC has been trying its hard on this agriculture sector, and food scarcity and food security is the subject of the future. And I assure you that if we overcome this problem of having more yield as compared to what we are having, and we can more scientifically, technically, environmentally make our agriculture sector more strong, there is no way that we could not succeed.
All right. I mean, you talked about the UAE business model. I'd like to add a little bit to that. Our Prime Minister in May of 2024, when he had gone to the UAE, he had commended the UAE for its visionary leadership and also for diversifying its economy much beyond oil and gas and paving the way for a future that was focused on industrial growth, on youth empowerment and digitalization, which positioned the UAE as an excellent hub for both import and export. How should or how could Pakistan follow in the UAE's footsteps?
Pakistan and the UAE growing partnership offers significant opportunities, and we have to find it. We have a good mind. We know the whole business depends on, for example, in economics, we say that need-based business or access availability of the product in the market. So what we have to see, what is the demand and what is the supply we can have. This is the basic thing we have to learn out, that if there is any demand anywhere in the world of any value, Pakistan should strike it, and not only the one sector. We should go for the 101 sectors available for the business, and we should utilize each and every sector, and we should try each and every sector. That is the only area. Then I am telling you an example of the Indonesia. In 1998, Indonesia was only exporting the raw material. And then the government, one leader came, he said, no, we will never export any raw material.
All right.
We will export all the value addition. So why we can't do by exporting a product of $1, why can't we do the value addition and export it to the $10? And this is the area where implementation of significant agreements for mutual benefit, strengthening economic and trade ties. We have to do this, and I am again telling you that moving forward, a sustainable and long-term strategic alliance we have to make with the UAE, because they are the closest partner of Pakistan, from where the whole world is, you can expose yourself to the whole world for your products. Now important is this, how you can make your industry better. I have a 40 years experience of working from Dubai to the different parts of the world, and I know what they mean. And it is such a fantastic and scientific and technological system available there, that your shipments are cleared in 6 hours and 7 hours, 8 hours, and you don't have to wait like Pakistan, that we are taking 15 to 30 days for clearance of shipment. So everywhere in the world, the businessmen want a quick response from the authorities, and I tell you that.
And that is where digitalization comes in.
This is what now we have a faceless custom system. I hope it should work the way it is working in Dubai. And one thing more, that most of our officers and our bureaucrats, they go abroad and study the systems of those countries, but when they come to Pakistan, I request them, they should apply those systems in Pakistan like it is being applied over there, so that we should also be benefit from the rest of the world for our products.
What about financial services? This was also an avenue that was
Exactly.
discussed.
One thing more I want to tell you, that now there are a lot of startups and a lot of companies in Pakistan, they are doing so many services, including you say the financial services, to the other part of the world, the other companies of the world. They are opening their offices in Pakistan, because working $20 an hour to $4 an hour, much cheaper for them. And there are a lot of people, but we just need to make to bring all this thing into a system, synchronize it, provide the best possible environment, best possible bandwidths, best networks, and I tell you, there is nothing beyond that we cannot do.
Inshallah, we will do that, and I think this visit of the Crown Prince of Abu Dhabi is a step in the right direction for Pakistan and for the bilateral collaboration and cooperation and the brotherly relations that exist between both our nations. Thank you so very much, Naeem Siddiqui Saab, to have come and to have discussed so many different aspects of this relations and how we can take it further forward. Let's come to our second segment, and that concerns the Gaza ceasefire. Now, the first phase of the Gaza ceasefire is to end tomorrow. Negotiations are already taking place between both the sides in Cairo as we speak, and the fact is that there are many questions and many deliberations that are being made as to what is going to happen. Will this first phase of the ceasefire deal be extended to some for a couple of more days or weeks? Will the second phase start in time? What is the intent of Israel as far as continuation of all of this ceasefire deal is concerned? Will the US play an important role as a mediator, or will it side with the extreme right in Israel that is intent on not continuing with the ceasefire deal? In fact, what it wants is to completely take over Palestine as a whole. The fact is also that as far as Palestinians is concerned, the holy month of Ramadan is also going to begin there from tomorrow, and the state of affairs in which this whole place, that is Gaza or other parts of Palestine, is proving to be a very difficult task for them as well. So of course I hope that many of our regional countries will move forward, just as Pakistan has had. Recently it has sent a very important shipment of humanitarian aid to Palestine, and I hope other countries are also going to follow suit and do that to help the Palestinians who are in need, because most of the infrastructure has been destroyed in Gaza. We've been joined by Farhan Bokhari Saab. He's a foreign affairs analyst. He's right here with us in the studios. Farhan Saab, thank you very much to have joined us.
Good to be here.
Negotiations have started for this second phase of the Gaza ceasefire in Cairo. This has been confirmed by Egyptian officials. But why are there so many question marks on what's going to happen?
Well, precisely because there's a party, an elephant in the room, who's completely untrustworthy, and that's the state of Israel. But beyond that, Netanyahu himself. Look at what's happened. It wasn't too long ago when we finally heard of a ceasefire, and yet, in spite of the ceasefire, they've been relentless Israeli attacks on unarmed Palestinians. The number of casualties is now over 50,000, and that's some people say is a conservative figure.
Yes.
You in your intro you referred to the holy month of Ramadan beginning in Gaza and Palestine tomorrow. Let's not forget this is the second holy month of Ramadan.
Last time it was said that there will be a ceasefire during the holy month of Ramadan. It never happened. So that is why a lot of people are afraid that there might be, that ceasefire might stop or not continue during this holy month as well.
So in brief, just to encapsulate the entire environment, this the elephant in the room, Netanyahu in particular, is completely untrustworthy. So whatever happens in Cairo, A, there are questions on what is going to happen in Cairo, but B, more pertinent, the question, is it going to hold, or this apparently bloodthirsty regime and the Israelis and especially Netanyahu has tons of blood on his hands.
But Farhan sir, there's also this intermediary that apparently in the ceasefire agreement there's one clause or one part that says that the first phase can be extended beyond Saturday. Will that measure be taken maybe if by Israel to save face somehow?
Look, the record shows that the Israelis have decided not to care about international opinion because
that we have seen.
Because especially across Europe, there is increasing criticism, resentment, whatever you may want to call it, against the state of Israel. I think the only major force weighing in favor of the Israelis is the US administration. Across the United States, there is evidence of growing discomfort with this. Look at what's been happening at American university campuses. You just have to follow these very unexpected
and how they've been muted and how they have been muted in the past.
Yes, but it's all over the social media, and these are not just pockets. These are not just for the sake of argument Muslim students. It's across the board.
Yes, even Jewish students.
Even Jewish students, even Jewish anti-war individuals. They've joined the effort. But the US administration, for its own reasons, mostly political, continues to fuel the Israeli war machine. And this is the result that you see at the end of the day.
Has the prisoner exchange gone in a normal manner in your point of view? Because we've seen the prisoner exchanges, we've seen a lot of teary-eyed families, reuniting with their loved ones in the West Bank, in Gaza. A lot of them were in a debilitated state as well, that they were really kept in inhumane conditions in jails and tortured as well. But if you put that aspect apart, do you feel that the first phase has been respected as far as the prisoner exchange is concerned?
I think respected is a strong word when it comes to Israel's conduct in this entire episode. Because look, a prisoner exchange, a pause in fighting, a ceasefire, then why have you had all these casualties, continuing Israeli attacks on selected locations since the ceasefire was announced? So then you have to conclude, you must conclude that it's a mixed bag.
It is definitely a mixed bag. I agree with you on that. The Israeli government spokesperson David Menser says safety restrictions are going to be imposed at the Al-Aqsa Mosque compound during the holy month of Ramadan. He did not specify the measures, but then there are different takes on what the measures will be? Will there be a repeat of the measures that were also reinforced last year during the holy month of Ramadan, where Palestinian men below the age of 55, women under 50 were not allowed to enter the compound for security reasons? What kind of impact is that going to have? Now, because last year there was no ceasefire, this year there is one. Why block access to the Muslim community during the holy month of Ramadan in Al-Aqsa?
Look, if you look at the history of Israel's conduct when it comes to the Palestinians, it could even be worse. And at this point, we are completely in the dark. We don't know where it's going to head. So we'll know tomorrow. The Israelis do not have an impeccable record when it comes to respecting civilians. Far from it.
A Palestinian has been killed in a drone attack in Rafah, and there have been so many, around 50 people arrested in the occupied West Bank, where the atrocities are continuing more or less in one way or the other.
Irrespective of their age or gender.
Yes.
Look at the number of children who've been martyred, I would call them, during this entire exercise. So then you have to ask yourself the question, where are we heading? Where is this entire situation going to go? The record so far does not leave one with reason for hope or optimism.
That is true, and so much of uncertainty in all of that. At the same time, adding to that uncertainty, Israel's former National Security Minister Itamar Ben-Gvir, who we all know very well for his statements, has called for the Jewish people to resettle Gaza and rid the Palestinian enclave of its entire population. Will statements like these also continue to pose further uneasiness within the Palestinians?
Well, first of all, it goes to show you the intent. Intent on the part of the worst hawks in the Israeli camp. No respect for human life, no respect for Palestinians, complete solid determination to literally, if possible, kick out the Palestinians from this stretch of land. Of course, where are these Palestinians going to go? There's so many of them. President Trump, I think, suggested Jordan and Egypt for being possible candidates to take in these Palestinians, but both of those countries have refused so far, and they're pretty adamant about it. This is a huge, big political question. It's a humanitarian question. And by the way, it's a question over the future of the world that we live in.
Exactly. The whole world order is changing as we speak.
Has changed already. And we don't know where the world order with regard to Gaza is going to go in a month's time, post-Ramadan, what's going to happen during Ramadan. And what will be the reaction on the Arab street as well as the Muslim streets all across the world.
That is so true. But you know, Farhan Sahab, the backing of the Palestinians and the continuity of the ceasefire agreement by especially countries in the West is extremely important. In that context, I'd like to refer to what Keir Starmer said, the British Premier who was in the US. He met with Donald Trump, and while talking to the media, when they asked him this question, he says that he wants the ceasefire to continue, he wants the exchange of prisoners and hostages to continue, and he also is in favor of the two-state solution. Will the United Kingdom stand by its words, like other countries in Europe that have also pledged the same?
But at the end of the day, does Israel care? That's the ultimate question. The Israelis also have a history of completely disregarding global opinion. So if the British Prime Minister has made this statement, the question is the United Kingdom going to back it up with some measure or measures to put pressure on the Israelis? I cannot be optimistic on that front so far, because there is a history of lip service having been paid to this particular tragedy selectively by leaders in the Western camp or by certain governments, but that has not made much of a difference.
Because it's ultimately what the US decides and what the state of Israel, with the backing of the US, decides to do as far as this whole Middle East situation is concerned. But when we even look at what Donald Trump has been saying, on one side he says, you know, I leave the option for continuity of ceasefire to the Israeli government. On the other hand, he says he wants the ceasefire, he's anti-war. So let's see which side he ultimately plays on, whether he will play on the side of being the mediator, or whether he will play the side on being on the side of the Israeli far right when it comes to what their perspective of the future of Palestine is concerned. Thank you so very much, Farhan Bokhari Saab, to have come all the way to the studios. It's always a pleasure to learn and understand from you as far as different situations across the world is concerned. Let's come to our last 2-3 stories very, very quickly. The first concerns the birth anniversary, the 97th birth anniversary of Abdul Sattar Idi Saab, that is being observed in Pakistan and across the world as we speak today. He was born in this very day in 1928 in Gujarat. He migrated to Karachi after his partition, and in 1951 he established the Idi Foundation, which is funded solely by private donations. He of course passed away unfortunately on this 8th of July 2016 due to kidney failure in Karachi, and we were left with a void as far as his philanthropy and his philanthropic contribution to Pakistan is concerned. I think millions of children will still remember him for all the services that he has rendered to them for their bright future. Then, ladies and gentlemen, a moon has been captured in a very marvelous fashion in a unique angle by a private lunar lander, the Firefly Aerospace, which is a Texas-based private aerospace company which has released this video from its Blue Ghost spacecraft orbiting the moon. It was preparing for its landing, so they thought, why not take some videos? So as you can see in the parallel window, there are certain visuals of the moon that you might not have seen before, and so it makes it even more interesting to see what even the moon has to offer as far as its surface is concerned, and who knows, a lot of speculations also about life. Finally, ladies and gentlemen, dwindling working age population that is prevalent in Japan. Most of the people, or majority, are around 75 years of age, and this causes a shortage of care workers for all of them because they are in a majority and the youth are in a minority. So what are they doing? They are turning to robots for a solution. This artificial intelligence driven humanoid robot called AIREC is a prototype future care given for Japan's rapidly aging population and chronic shortage of aged care workers. We all know that the number of babies born in 2024 fell for a 9th straight year by 5% to a record low, and the number of old people continues to increase, and of course they are in good health because they are being taken care of by the government, but they need also proper care, and for that they need the services. Well, now let's see whether this alternate works in the long run or not. But it's an interesting take as far as how to take care of the aged population in Japan. With that, we come to an end of today's newsroom. This brings us to the end of this week's newsroom. Will inshallah join you on Monday. It will be Ramzan by then, so I wish all of my viewers in advance very happy May Ramadan. May your fasts and your blessings bring all the fruition that is needed. Your prayers also be accepted by the Almighty. Allah Hafiz, and see you inshallah.